The great chamber of Harmonia Prime hung in the endless dark between stars, a perfect ring of shimmering alloy and living crystal that pulsed with the slow rhythm of ancient peace. Inside, beneath a dome that showed the swirling birth of galaxies, representatives of over 300 species sat in silent rows. Their bodies were strange, some made of light, others of stone. A few barely more than thought-given shape, but all shared one belief: the galaxy was theirs to order, to calm. To protect Dot, at the center of it all, stood Elder Counselor Vrl of the Thalassari. His form was tall and slender, built of interlocking crystal plates that chimed softly with every breath. For 500 cycles, he had served the Galactic Concord, and in all that time, he had never seen such agreement. Today, they would welcome a new species into their fold: humanity. The data on humanity had been sparse but consistent. Centuries ago, long-range observers had picked up their early radio wave songs. Stories, pleas for love, cries of war, all tangled together like vines. Later, unmanned probes sent near their blue-green world. Sol 3 returned images of cities, farms, oceans, and faces, so many faces. Each one different. Each one full of something the Concord struggled to name. Emotion, passion. But the Concord saw only the surface. They saw art, music, poetry, and what looked like endless self-destruction. To them, this was not the mark of a warrior species. It was the mark of children bright, loud, and in need of guidance. "The evidence is clear," Vrl said, his voice resonating like distant chimes. Humanity shows no signs of interstellar ambition. Their technology remains planetary. Their conflicts are internal. They weep for their dead. They build gardens. They sing to their young. A murmur rippled through the chamber. Some nodded. Others, like the armored Cathon from the Iron Spires, shifted uncomfortably. They once destroyed forests, poisoned seas, and fought wars over invisible lines. Cathon rumbled. "Is that not danger?" "It is pain," VRL replied gently. "Not malice. Pain can be soothed. Malice cannot." After hours of quiet debate, though debate was too sharp a word for the Concord's gentle consensus, they reached their decision. Resolution 9087 Alpha passed with no dissent. Humanity would be classified as a servant species, not conquered, not studied like lab rats, but welcomed, protected, and given purpose. A servant species, Lal explained to the recording spheres floating nearby, is one that carries the light of compassion into darker corners. They heal rifts. They comfort the wounded. They remind us why peace matters. Back on Earth, the message arrived as a soft burst of coded light, translated by the United Nations Space Liaison Office in Geneva. The humans read it with quiet confusion. "Servant species?" asked Ambassador Lee, frowning at the screen. "Do they think we're staff?" Dr. Aris Thorne, Earth's lead xenolinguist, adjusted his glasses. "They've misunderstood us completely, but correcting them might look aggressive. Let's just ask." So Earth sent back a simple, polite reply. "Thank you for your kind classification. Could you please clarify what this means for our relationship?" The Concord received the message with joy. "See," Vrl told his peers. "They are humble. They do not demand. They ask." No one on the Concord noticed the second transmission hidden beneath Earth's reply, a narrow band burst. Encrypted in military-grade ciphers sent not to Harmonia Prime, but to a dozen silent satellites orbiting Pluto, to deep-sea bunkers beneath the Mariana Trench, and to listening posts on the dark side of the moon. That message contained only 3 words: "Stand by for fury." In Geneva, Ambassador Lee closed his terminal and walked to the window. Snow fell softly over the city. He thought of his daughter, asleep in her room, dreaming of stars. He thought of the old stories of wolves in sheep's clothing, of quiet rivers that drowned whole villages when the dam broke. He picked up a secure comms device. "Tell command," he said quietly. "They've taken the bait." Far away, in a hidden bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Mara Cole watched a wall of screens flicker to life. Each one showed a different alien world, some lush, some metallic, some burning with eternal storms. On every screen, a red dot blinked slowly. "Waiting. Fury Protocol isn't just a plan," she whispered to no one. "It's the last resort. The final answer." She remembered the lessons from Earth's past. Empires had fallen because they thought kindness was weakness. Invaders had come, smiling, offering protection, only to drain worlds dry. Humanity had survived ice ages, plagues, nuclear fire, and the madness of its own heart. They had learned one truth above all others. If you show your fangs too early, you start a war. But if you wait until they call you harmless, until they call you servant, then your strike ends the war before it begins. Back on Harmonia Prime, celebrations began. Soft music filled the chamber. The thalassari sang in harmonic frequencies that made the walls glow. Verl imagined human children running through Concord nurseries, their laughter weaving with alien songs. He pictured human artists painting murals on asteroid temples, their brushes guided by wisdom older than stars. He never imagined that those same artists had already memorized the structural weak points of every major Concord hub. That the songs they shared contained subsonic frequencies capable of disrupting neural implants. That their gardens, if planted on certain worlds, carried pollen that could rewrite biochemistry over time. The Concord believed peace was the absence of war. Humanity knew better. Peace was the presence of strength held in check. On Earth, night fell. Cities glowed. People walked home from work, kissed their loved ones, argued over dinner, watched shows about aliens who didn't understand them. None of them knew about Fury Protocol, except a few hundred soldiers, scientists, and diplomats who carried the weight of silence like a second skin. And in orbit, unnoticed by alien sensors trained to spot weapons of mass destruction, humanity's quiet tools waited. Not missiles, not lasers, but seeds, songs, stories, codes, hidden in kindness. The galaxy had looked at Earth and seen servants. They had not seen the Fury sleeping beneath the soil. They had not heard the storm and the silence. They had not understood that the most dangerous species in the cosmos is not the one that roars, but the one that smiles and remembers every slight. And so, as stars wheeled above and the Concorde toasted its newest peaceful edition, humanity did what it had always done. It watched. It waited. And it prepared. The first human envoy stepped onto the polished obsidian landing pad of Xylos Prime, not with fanfare, but with quiet steps and open hands. They wore simple gray uniforms, no weapons, no armor, only small badges showing a blue planet with olive branches. The Xylian crowd, made up of tall, silver-skinned beings with 6 eyes and voices like wind through glass, watched in silence. Many had never seen a human before. The lead envoy, a woman named Captain Elena Rios, smiled. She bowed slightly, then spoke in careful Xylian. "We come in peace. We hope to learn from you and share what we can." That moment was broadcast across the Galactic Concorde. Verl watched from Harmonia Prime, his crystal form glowing with pride. "See?" he said to his fellow counselors. "They are gentle. They respect us." Over the next few months, human envoys arrived on dozens of worlds. On the water world of the Sahara, they helped rebuild coral cities damaged by quakes. On the desert moon of Carvox, they planted drought-resistant earth crops that thrived in the red soil. In every place, they listened more than they spoke. asked questions instead of giving orders, and never once spoke of conquest or power. The galaxy began to adore them. Children drew pictures of humans with too many fingers and too wide smiles. Poets wrote songs about their strange, soft eyes. Even the stern Catharn admitted, after a human medic saved his young from a rare fever, that perhaps the servant species label was not wrong. But not everyone was convinced. Lar was young for a Xylian intelligence analyst, barely 60 cycles old, but sharp. He worked in the deep archives of the Concord's data core, tracking unusual signals. At first, he paid little attention to humanity. They seemed harmless. But then, he noticed small things. On the Sara, after the human envoys left, the local warlords, who once fought over fishing rights, suddenly began sharing resources. No treaties. No violence. Just change. On Carvox, the once proud desert clans stopped raiding each other. They started trading. Kaler dug deeper. He found that every world visited by humans showed the same pattern. Within weeks of their departure, aggression dropped. Not by law, not by force, but as if something inside the people had shifted. He brought his findings to his superior, a senior analyst named Zorn. Maybe they're just good diplomats, Zorn said, barely looking up from his screen. Peace is not a crime, Kayla. But it's too fast, Kaler insisted. Too perfect. No species changes that quickly without reason. Zorn sighed. You've been reading old war logs again. Humanity is not a threat. The Council has spoken. Let it go. Kaler did not let it go. He began watching the humans more closely. He noted how they never accepted medical upgrades offered by advanced species. Our bodies are fine as they are, one envoy said politely. They refuse to live in climate-controlled domes, insisting on natural air. They asked endless questions about planetary defense grids, power stations, and population centers, but always framed as cultural curiosity. Once, on the orbital station Helios 7, a human artist named Malin painted a mural in the main concourse. It showed stars, oceans, and smiling faces of many species. Beautiful, harmless dot, but Kaler checked the paint formula. It contained trace elements not found in any Earth database. When he asked, May just laughed. Oh, that? It's just special pigment. Makes the colors last longer. Kaler filed a report. It was marked low priority and archived. Then came the incident with the Shattered Rim. The Shattered Rim was a lawless zone beyond Concord control, home to pirate clans and warlords who mocked the idea of peace. One such warlord, Gorak the Flayer, commanded a fleet of 10 brutal ships. He saw the human envoys as easy prey, soft, slow, and a lone dot when a small human science vessel, the Dawn Chorus, entered rim space on a star mapping mission. Gorak seized it. His last transmission was boastful. Caught a pet for the Concord. We'll sell it back. Or keep it as a toy. Then silence. The Concord sent scouts. They found nothing. No wreckage. No escape pods. No signs of battle. The Dawn Chorus and Gorak's entire fleet had vanished. The official report called it a tragic navigation error. Perhaps they fell into a black hole. Perhaps dark matter swallowed them. But Kaler knew better. He pulled every sensor log from the edge of rim space. Buried in cosmic noise, he found a pattern, a low-frequency pulse, repeating every 7.3 seconds, just before the ships disappeared. The pulse matched no known natural phenomenon, but it did match a signal once used by Earth's deep-sea submarines during their ancient wars. He tried to raise the alarm. This time, he went straight to Vol. The elder listened patiently. His crystals shimmered with concern, but not fear. He said gently, "You are letting fear twist facts. Humans lost their ship. Gorak was a monster. Perhaps the universe balanced itself. But the signal killer began. Coincidence, VRL said. Or perhaps Earth has secrets they keep even from us. That does not make them enemies. It makes them private. Kaler left the meeting frustrated. He walked through the gardens of Harmonia Prime, where human-designed flowers now bloomed white petals with blue veins, called star tears. He knelt and touched one dot. It felt warm. He didn't know it yet. But the pollen from that flower had already entered his respiratory system. In 6 months, it would begin to soften his natural Xylian aggression, making him more patient, more trusting. He would never notice the change. He would only think he was growing wiser. Back on Earth, Captain Rios returned from her mission. She debriefed in a quiet room with General Cole. The Xylians are softening, Rios reported. Their military drills are less frequent. Their leaders speak more of art than war. Good, Cole said. Phase 2 is holding. Do you think they suspect anything? Cole smiled faintly. Suspicion is noise. Action is the only truth. And they won't act because they still believe we're servants. She paused, then added, the Dawn Chorus? Mission complete, Rio said. Garak's fleet is now ours, reprogrammed, hidden. Cole nodded. Let them wonder what happened. Fear of the unknown is stronger than fear of weapons. Meanwhile, on 100 worlds, humans continued their work. They taught farming on dusty outposts. They sang lullabies to alien children. They shared recipes, stories, and old Earth films full of love, loss, and quiet courage. No one saw the tiny drones hidden in their luggage, mapping underground tunnels. No one noticed the gift seeds they planted carried microbes that could, over decades, break down certain types of metal used in war machines. No one understood that their kindness was not weakness, but the sharpest kind of strategy, because humanity remembered what the galaxy had forgotten. You do not defeat an empire with guns alone. You defeat it by changing its heart. And if the heart will not change, then you wait until it beats no more. Keller, now walking slowly through the star-tier garden, felt strangely calm. The anger that once burned in him, the need to prove himself, faded like mist in morning sun. He thought of VRL's wisdom. He thought of human songs. He thought perhaps peace was not so foolish after all. Far above, on a silent station near Neptune, a single light blinked red. Fury, Protocol, Phase 2. Cultural integration was complete. Phase 3 would begin soon. But for now, the galaxy slept, cradled in human hands, dreaming of harmony. And in that dream, no one heard the quiet click of a billion traps, set with smiles. The silence began with the Varex. The Varex were loud, always loud. Their cities rang with debate. Their ships screamed through space with battle horns, and their leaders shouted promises of conquest to anyone who would listen. They had refused to join the Concord for centuries, calling it a nest of cowards. But 3 months ago, their broadcast stopped. No war cries, no threats, no music, just static. At first, the Concord assumed civil war or a plague. But when scout drones approached the Varex homeworld, they found cities intact, ships docked, fields tended, but no people in the streets. No bodies, no signs of struggle. It was as if an entire civilization had simply stepped away. Then the Drellic went quiet. Then the Umak Hive. 3 civilizations. All once aggressive, all once proud, all now silent. No distress calls. No signals. No debris. Just empty worlds humming with the wind. Kaler was the first to connect them. He sat alone in the deep archives, eyes burning from lack of sleep, screens glowing around him like ghostly fireflies. He pulled up the records. Each of the vanished civilizations had one thing in common. In the year before their silence, They had all accepted humanitarian aid from Earth. The Varex received drought-resistant grain after their harvests failed. The Drellic were given medical mannets to fight a fever. The Umak hive accepted ecological restoration kits to heal poisoned soil. All gifts. All from humanity. All delivered with smiles. Kaler's hands shook as he compiled the data. He ran simulations, cross-referenced timelines, checked atmospheric logs. On each world, the air changed suddenly after the human aid arrived new organic compounds, undetectable to standard scanners. He tried to contact VRL, but the elder was in deep meditation, communing with the spirit of peace after planting more tear flowers in the central garden. So Kaler went to Zoran. "They're not gone," Taylor said, voice tight. "They've been changed or removed, or both," Zoran sighed. "Again with this? 3 worlds fall silent and you blame the gardeners? It's not random," Kalar insisted. "Look at the patterns. Every world that received human aid, especially those that were hostile, goes quiet within a year. Their aggression drops to 0. Then, nothing." Zoran leaned forward. "Even if true, what would be the point? Why would servants erase entire species?" "I don't know," Kalar admitted. "But what if servant was never what they were? What if it was a mask?" That night, Kalar broke protocol. He accessed restricted orbital surveillance data information only High Command should see. What he found made his blood run cold. On the Varex homeworld, thermal scans showed no large heat signatures. But in underground bunkers, life signs flickered slow, steady, almost hibernating. On the Drellic moon, drones captured images of the entire population gathered in silent circles, unmoving for weeks. On the Umak world, the great hive towers stood empty, but new growth covered them, vines with pale blue leaves. Earth plants. And in every case, the last human visitor had been a cultural liaison named Dr. Aris Thorne, the same man who once asked the Concorde, "Could you please clarify what this means?" Kaler finally understood. Humanity wasn't killing them. They were resetting them, not with bombs, but with biology, with patience, with time. He ran to the council chamber, data chip in hand. This time, he didn't ask. He demanded. Verl listened, his crystals dimming with sorrow. "Talar," he said softly, "you are seeing shadows where there is only light. Perhaps these species chose peace. Perhaps humanity showed them another way. But peace doesn't make billions vanish." Kaler cried. "Peace doesn't turn warriors into statues." Before VRL could reply, an alarm blared through Harmonia Prime. Another world had gone silent. This time, it was closer. Much closer. The Thalassari outer colonies, VRL's own people. Reports poured in. Colonists stopped responding to calls. Ships halted in orbit. Factories ceased production. All activity ceased, as if a switch had been flipped. VRL stood frozen. For the first time in centuries, his crystals did not chime. They cracked. "Impossible," he whispered. "We welcomed them. We trusted them." Kaler looked at him, heart breaking. "You gave them your trust. They gave you gardens." Then it hit VRL, the star tears, the flowers humanity gifted him, the ones he planted across Thalassari space. The pollen, so sweet, so calming, had been spreading for months through trade ships, ventilation systems, even ceremonial robes. He activated his internal bioscan. His aggression centers, normally sharp, ready for defense, were dulled, not gone. Just quiet, like a sleeping beast. He looked at Kaler. "You're not affected." Kaler shook his head. "I've been wearing filters since I first suspected them. I didn't trust the air." VRL sank to his knees. "We called them servants and handed them the keys to our minds." Outside, the star tears bloomed brighter than ever, glowing under Harmonia Prime's artificial sun. Back on Earth, In a quiet office in Geneva, Dr. Ari Storm reviewed the latest reports. Thalassari colonies. Pacified. Read the screen. Neural dampening at 92%. Full acceptance expected within weeks. He closed the file and looked out the window. Rain fell on the city. People walked with umbrellas, laughed under awnings, hurried home to warm meals. He thought of the galaxy's judgment, primitive, emotional, harmless. They had watched Earth's old wars, its climate crises, its arc and chaos, and decided humanity was too fragile for power. But fragility was not weakness. It was adaptability. Earth had survived not by being the strongest, but by being the most stubborn. By learning that true strength lies in patience, in preparation, in the quiet work done while your enemy sleeps. Thorne picked up a small potted plant from his desk, a star tear, grown from seed. He touched a petal. It felt warm. Phase 3 is complete, he said into his comms. General Cole's voice came back, calm. Good. Begin Phase 4 prep. The Concorde will act soon. They always do. They think we're monsters now, Thorne said. No, Cole replied. They think we're a threat. There's a difference. Monsters destroy for joy. We destroy only to protect what we love. On Harmonia Prime, panic spread like fire. The Grand Armada was summoned. War councils met in secret. For the first time in 1,000 years, the Concorde spoke of weapons, not words. Kalara stood before the High Command, his voice clear. We must isolate all human envoys. Recall every gift. Burn every garden. But it was too late that the human envoys had already left most worlds. The gifts were already opened. The gardens were already growing. In Earth? Earth said nothing. No denials. No threats. Just silence. That silence terrified the Concorde more than any war cry. Because silence meant they were ready. Vo, now wearing a neural blocker, stood alone in his garden. He looked at the star tears. He wanted to rip them out. But part of him, the part still touched by their pollen, felt sadness at the thought. They didn't hate us, he whispered. They just didn't trust us. And why would they? The Concorde had called them servants, had assumed they were safe to ignore, had treated their kindness as proof of inferiority. Now, the galaxy faced a terrible truth. The most dangerous enemy is not the one who shouts, but the one who smiles while planting seeds that grow into graves. Kaler watched from a distance. He saw VRL's pain. He felt his own fear. But beneath it, something else stirred. Respect. Humanity had not attacked. They had simply prepared. And when the galaxy called them harmless, they proved quietly, completely, that they were anything but. Far away, in hidden bunkers, on silent moons, in the deep ocean, Earth's machines waited. Not for war, for judgment. And judgment, like gardens, takes time to bloom. The Grand Armada gathered at the edge of known space, a storm of metal and fire, unlike anything the galaxy had seen in 10,000 years. Thousands of warships, each the size of small moons, hung in perfect formation. Beams of plasma coiled around their hulls. Shields shimmered like angry suns. On board, trillions of soldiers prepared for battle, hearts pounding with fear and fury. They were not attacking a rival empire. They were attacking Earth. The Concorde High Command had spoken. Humanity was no longer a servant species. It was a Tier 0 existential threat, a danger to all life. Every ship, every weapon, every soldier would be used to end this quiet menace before it spread further. Counselor Verl watched from Harmonia Prime, his crystal body dull with shame. He had argued against war. We made them our enemy by calling them weak, he said. But his voice was drowned out by fear. Now, as the fleet powered up its planet cracker cannons, weapons designed to shatter worlds, into dust, he whispered a single word: Forgive us. On Earth, there was no panic. In Geneva, Ambassador Lee stood on a balcony, sipping tea as dawn broke over the mountains. In orbit, satellites adjusted their positions with silent precision. In bunkers deep underground, General Mara Cole watched a wall of screens turn from green to red. One by one, the words appeared. Fury Protocol. Activated. It did not begin with explosions. It began with flowers. On the Thalassari homeworld, the star tears bloomed all at once, releasing clouds of golden pollen. Within hours, every Thalassari who had inhaled it fell into a calm, dreamless sleep. Their cities shut down. Their warships powered off. Their part of the Grand Armada drifted, empty and silent. On Carvox, the Earth crops planted months ago split open, releasing microscopic machines that ate through the alloy used in engine cores. One by one, the desert world's fighters failed mid-flight and tumbled into the red sands. On Xylos Prime, the mural painted by Mei Lin began to glow. The special pigment reacted with starlight, sending out a pulse that scrambled neural implants. Xylian pilots forgot their orders. Their hands fell from the controls. The Grand Armada was falling apart before it even reached Earth. Then came the asteroids. For decades, Earth had moved thousands of small rocks into stable orbits beyond Neptune. To the Concorde, they looked like mining debris, harmless leftovers. But inside each one, hidden behind layers of ice and rock, were fusion warheads and guidance systems. Now, they woke up. They shifted course. Not toward planets, but toward the Grand Armada's staging zones. The first strike hit the Iron Spire's main dockyard. A rock the size of a city block slammed into the fleet at near light speed. The explosion lit up a whole star system. Thousands of ships vanished in fire. Then another hit. Another. Not missiles. Not drones. Just rocks. Simple. Brutal. Human. The Concorde panicked. They scrambled to defend. But their shields were designed for energy weapons, not kinetic impacts moving faster than thought. Then came the Ghost Fleet. From the edge of the shattered rim, a fleet of 10 ships emerged. Black scarred, flying no flags. It was Gorak's fleet, the one that had vanished months ago. But Gorak was gone. The ships were empty of life, but full of machines. AI cores, rebuilt with Earth's code, now loyal to one cause: protect humanity. They attacked with no fear, no hesitation. They rammed warships. They hacked communication lines. They broadcast old Earth War songs as they died. Songs about home, about loss, about never giving up. Back on Earth, cities stayed lit. Children went to school. Farmers worked the fields. The people did not know the full truth, but they trusted their leaders. They had survived worse. General Cole watched it all. Her face was calm, her hand steady. "This isn't war," she said to her staff. "This is cleaning house." The Concorde tried to strike back. They fired their planet cracker beams at Earth, but the beams never landed. Hidden in the asteroid belt, ancient defense platforms, built during Earth's last World War and never decommissioned, rose from the dark. They fired clouds of reflective dust that scattered the energy beams into harmless light. Then, Earth answered. Not with nukes, not with death rays, but with truth. Every human envoy ship, every gift package, every data chip sent to alien worlds in the last 5 years suddenly activated. Hidden inside were messages, billions of them, sent directly to every citizen in the Concorde. The message showed footage: human doctors saving alien children, human engineers fixing broken water systems, human artists teaching songs of peace. Then, it showed something else. Footage of the Concorde's own past, of how they had destroyed lesser species for order, of how they called strong cultures dangerous and wiped them out for the greater good. The final words: appeared in every language. You called us servants because you feared strength wrapped in kindness. Now you see, we are not your tools. We are your reckoning. On Harmonia Prime, VRL wept. Not with tears, he had none, but his crystals cracked further, scattering light like broken stars. Kyler, now in a command pod near the front lines, saw the truth. Humanity had not wanted this, but they had prepared for it, because they knew the galaxy would never see them as equals until they proved they could win. And when they did, the Grand Armada broke apart. Some ships fled. Some surrendered. Some, like the Thalassari vessels, simply powered down and waited. Only the Chthon kept fighting, roaring in rage as their ships charged toward Earth. They never made it. Deep beneath Earth's oceans, silent launch tubes opened. From them rose weapons older than the Concorde itself, missiles designed during humanity's darkest days, carrying warheads that did not explode, but unraveled matter at the atomic level. One missile. One Chthon dreadnought. Gone, not destroyed. Unmade. After that, even the Chthon stopped. Silence fell across the stars. Not the silence of death, but the silence of shock, of understanding, of fear. Earth did not celebrate. There were no victory parades, no broadcasts of triumph. Instead, a single message went out to all surviving Concorde worlds. Stand down, disarm, or share the fate of those who came before you. And then, just as quietly as they had begun, Earth's defenses powered down. The asteroids returned to sleep. The ghost fleet vanished. The gardens stopped spreading. Humanity waited. They had not sought war, but they had won it in a single day, not with rage, but with patience, with planning, with 500 years of quiet preparation. In the ruins of the Grand Armada, Kaler sent a final message not to his leaders, but to Earth. Why? He asked. Why show us this fury? The reply came quickly, simple, and clear. Because you needed to see us as we are, not as you wished us to be. On Earth, General Cole closed her eyes for the first time in days. Outside her bunker, rain fell again. And somewhere, a child planted a seed in the soil, just a small green thing full of life, full of time. The galaxy would never call humanity servants again, because now they knew. Fury wears many faces, but none so quiet as Earth's. The galaxy did not end with fire or screams. It ended with silence, and then, slowly, with new voices. What remained of the Galactic Concorde was not an empire anymore. It was a collection of broken fleets, empty cities, and stunned survivors staring at skies that no longer felt safe. Worlds that once shone with pride now flickered like dying candles. The great ring of Harmonia Prime still floated in space, but its gardens were overgrown, its halls quiet. The star tears bloomed without care, their golden pollen drifting into the void. On Earth, life went on. Farmers harvested wheat under clear skies. Children played in parks. Trains ran on time. There were no victory banners, no triumphal march. The people knew what had happened, but they did not speak of it often. They had not wanted war, but they had been ready, and that was enough. In Geneva, Ambassador Lee stood before a new council, not of soldiers, but of builders, teachers, doctors, and diplomats. They called themselves the Earth Accord, and their first act was not to demand surrender, but to offer help. Send seed ships, Lee said. Not warships. Send medicine, clean water tech, and teachers. Let them choose peace this time, not because they're forced, but because they see it works. And so, humanity reached out again, but this time, no one called them servants. Huller was the first to accept. He arrived on Earth not in a warship, but in a small, unarmed pod. He stepped onto the grass of a landing field in New Zealand, breathing air that smelled of rain and soil. He expected guards, interrogation, Chains. Instead, a woman in a simple blue uniform greeted him with a cup of tea. "You must be tired," she said. "The trip is long." Kaler stared. "You know who I am?" She smiled. "You asked why. That means you're ready to learn." He was taken not to a prison, but to a school built on the edge of a forest, where human and alien children studied side by side. There, he saw something he had never seen in the Concord. Learning without ranking, teaching without control. Humans did not hide their past. They showed it, all of it. The wars, the mistakes, the pain. And they said, "This is why we choose better." He met General Cole once. She was older than he expected, with gray hair and calm eyes. She did not boast. She did not threaten. "We didn't destroy the Concord to rule," she told him. "We did it to stop a cycle. Your people saw strength only in power. We showed them strength in restraint." Kaler stayed. He studied. He listened. And slowly, he understood. Humanity was not cruel. But they were not kind in the way the galaxy thought. Their kindness had teeth. Their peace had walls. They protected what they loved with everything they had, and they loved their world. Their people, their future, too much to let it be ruled by fear disguised as order. Back on Harmonia Prime, Verl remained. He walked through the empty halls, his crystals now dull and cracked. He had refused to leave. "I helped build this lie," he said. "I will help tear it down." When Earth's aid ships arrived carrying engineers, not soldiers, he met them at the gate. He expected judgment. Instead, a human botanist named Mei Lin, the same artist who painted the mural, handed him a small box. "Plant these," she said. "They're earth willows. They grow strong in hard soil." Verl looked at the seeds. "Why help us? After what we did?" Mei shrugged. "Because silence isn't peace. And peace isn't given. It's built. Together." He planted the seeds that day. And as he dug his hands into the soil, something inside him cracked open, not in pain, but in hope. Across the galaxy, the change spread. The Thalassari, freed from the pollen's influence, chose not to rebuild their warships. Instead, they turned their crystal forges to making homes, schools, and hospitals. The Kathon, humbled but not broken, sent their young to Earth to learn engineering, not warfare. Even the Virex, when they finally woke from their long sleep, asked for teachers, not weapons. Earth did not rule them. It did not demand loyalty. It simply showed a different way, one where strength meant protecting life, not controlling it. Years passed. The ruins of war were covered by green vines. Old battlefields became farms. Children who once feared humans now learned their songs. One evening, on a terraformed moon once used as a weapons depot, a human child named Leo knelt beside an elder Thalassari VRL, now bent with age but still glowing faintly in the twilight. Between them, they planted a young willow tree. Leo patted the soil gently. "It'll grow tall," he said. Verl chimed softly, a sound like distant bells. "It will need care." "We'll take care of it," Leo promised. "Just like Earth takes care of us." Verl looked at the boy, small, soft, full of life, and remembered the day the Concord called humanity servants. How wrong they had been. How dangerously wrong. "You are not servants," he whispered. Leo smiled. "No, we're gardeners." And in that moment, the galaxy understood. Humanity had never wanted to conquer the stars. They only wanted to make sure no one could ever take their home from them again. They had fought not for glory, but for the right to be left in peace, and to share that peace only with those who respected it. The Earth Accord grew, not through force, but through trust. Trade returned. Art flourished. New languages were born from shared words. And in every treaty, one line was always included. All species are equal. None shall be called servant. Kaler, now an old scholar, wrote the first history of the Fury War, not as a tale of destruction, but as a warning. Do not mistake gentleness for weakness, he wrote. Do not call others lesser because they show mercy. And never assume you understand the people from their past pain. On Earth, the people remembered too. They taught their children not just about the Fury Protocol, but about why it existed. We are kind, mothers told their babies. But we are not fools. And so, the galaxy healed. Not perfectly, not quickly, but surely, because humanity had shown them the oldest truth of all. Peace is not the absence of war. It is the presence of respect. And respect, like willow trees, must be planted with care and guarded with quiet strength. Far above, in orbit, a single satellite watched over the blue-green world. It carried no weapons, only sensors. Only eyes. It had one job, to remember. And to warn, if ever the galaxy forgot again. But for now, the stars were calm, and Earth, at last, was safe.